live. Hey, y'all, hey. We got a groove going on today. I'm excited. That's my jam right there. And it came to mind recently, so I hope you're able to jam with me today. All right. As I get my stand, you can see my screen. You can see me. Everything's good. I got some notes here today because we're gonna do some talking. We're gonna have a good time. All right. First things first. I want to make sure that you can hear me. I just want to invite everybody and say thank you for joining me today for Dani After Dark. I'm very excited to have you with me. And today we're definitely going to be getting into some things, but first things first. First, I want to start off, as I usually start off, with checking in and saying, how are you doing? How's your day? How was your weekend? How are things going? Hopefully things planned out. Did you have some plans? Did you take some time for self-care? Self-care is important. We all do reminders here around that Dani After Dark about self-care. You know, and that may be, sometimes that is, yes, staying at home, maybe getting some extra rest, maybe having nothing to do on your to-do list mentally, physically, just chilling out, enjoying a beach, enjoying something. It was definitely some nice weather this weekend here in the tri-state area. Me personally, I did have some outside time. My boyfriend and I, we went out to enjoy, what's that, North River Lobster? Oh, that was good. Pier 81? That wasn't bad. That was good. I liked it. I've never had a lobster roll before, so that was my first time. Wasn't bad. I was expecting maybe a little bit more seasoned, but it was good. Overall, I did enjoy it. And, you know, of course, the review on the Hudson is always very nice. So it was very cute. We had a good time. We were sitting out and chilling and, you know, saw some other cruise lines going out. Very interesting dynamic. I don't know what Circle Line does for their advertisements, but let me tell you something. They market however they market, because we definitely saw very strong, distinct sets of groups going on particular boats. So that was quite interesting. But anyway, so yeah, we did that. And also it was like a seafood weekend. So we did seafood on Saturday. We did seafood again with my family on Sunday. So it was a nice, you know, literally seafood weekend. So I enjoyed myself. I had a good weekend. No complaints from me at all. Had a couple naps. And then on Saturday, I see what on earth is going on in Montgomery. We're going to get into that. We are definitely going to get into that. I am definitely going to give you my lowdown on just my first initial response. And we will go on to that conversation from there when we get to it. But again, checking in. So that was my weekend. I hope you had a good one. I hope you're enjoying yourself. And I'm glad that you're checking in with me today. So next thing, I just want to check in. See, how's our self-care doing? Because we're definitely, but when we end today's session, we are definitely going to be having a self-care closeout with just some deep breaths. So I feel like that's an excellent way to kind of like drive it home, I think. So if you like that, tell me. If you don't, also share. So we're going to do that today. Also, great news, Caregivers Corner. For those that are connected and those that may not be aware, Caregivers Corner is a peer support group that we've created with Excel with Danielle, and the group is really there for you to check in and get information when you need it. We're talking about respite. We're going to be talking about caregiver mental health. We're going to be talking about emergency planning. You know, are you in a situation where you should let your fire department know that you need assistance if an emergency happens? So we're definitely going to be getting into some really good details about, you know, caregiving, providing support, but also information. So excited. So if you know anybody that is a caregiver, share this information, because I definitely want to get this information out there so they can connect and we can further support them. It doesn't matter where you live. This is for all caregivers. I think that's it. I think that's all our housekeeping. So we can go on and roll on. All right. So let's talk about it. Montgomery, Alabama, at the riverfront, they had a moment. And let's discuss what is that moment that they were having. Well, I'm going to tell you what I saw. I saw a black gentleman that was working. He had work attire on, black and white. He had a hat, white collar shirt, black pants. It was like black shoes and white socks and black shoes, something like that. A general security uniform. But man was out there working. From what I'm seeing, reports are saying that, as he was doing his job, he was letting somebody know, some folks had docked, and he was letting them know that they could not particularly dock there. another boat's coming in. I don't know all the docking processes, but he was letting know this is not the spot. You need to move on, adjust so we can allow something else to move in. A gang of white folks were not happy with this. And what they decide to do was one person was talking to him, a gentleman was talking to him, and then a lady came down. She was trying to figure something else out. And then you see a couple of them run. And they're running towards the situation where this man, you see he's trying to explain. He's got his body language. He's very expressive. And then from there, you see a couple of people run in. Here are my thoughts. I wanted to write it down so I can read it on to you. I'm gonna put this on a little silent so you can hear me. These were my initial thoughts. My initial thoughts was, oh my gosh, I've seen this before. Not again. Another black man alone that's ganged upon gets beaten halfway to death. Another possible hashtag. Family puts together another GoFundMe for his hospital bills. All are arrested peacefully. They'll probably get a slap on the wrist. Charges will be minimal or completely tossed out. And then, that's my thinking. This is what's going on in my mind. And then, from the clouds, they dissipate, and I see a ray of light shoot out, and it whispers, hooty hoo. And from the skies, it's heard the call, and Acadians, they descend. And I might be saying it wrong, but that is like the name before it was Africa. One of the names other than Ethiopia, etc. They descended upon the riverfront on Montgomery and responded to the call. Now, what I'm not going to do, I'm not going to go into the chair. I'm not going to go into some of the other things. But the call went out and it was heard. I've always said it because, Outkast, Goody Mob, hoo-dee-hoo. The call was heard. It went out and they ascended. Now, I'm not even going to address and give any disclaimers on violence. Wrong is wrong. Right is right and wrong is wrong. Nobody, no gang, I don't care what, yes, white people. Nobody should have ganged up on that man that was doing his job and put hands, physically assaulted him. That's not okay, period. It's not okay. And we have this history. We have history. We are known internationally, okay? I know, oftentimes us as Americans, we can see, hey, Mel, we can see and kind of look about how we're seen as people, but let me tell you, internationally, America is known to have real issues with race relations beyond racism. We are known to be a problem. We have a history that we often choose to even deny exists. And even within therapy, you can't deal with anything if you don't acknowledge it. You can't work on your problems and work on your issues. And that's why, oftentimes here at Dani After Dark, I have a lot of conversations about just accepting where we are, just kind of embracing, this is who I am, this is where I'm at right now, because then you can work on it. You have to make friends with it, as an old college professor used to say to me. You have to embrace who you are and where you are for you to improve. You can't deny your issues, your sensitivities, your triggers, your racism. You can't deny these things if you're going to move forward. You have to deal with them presently. So this is an issue that we've had for a long time. Okay? It's not a new issue. And those of us that are Black, we know that are Black born, raised in the United States. We know that. because we have conversations about that. Our culture is built around that. It's built around survival. Often our hidden conversations about, what to do if you get pulled over, about not arguing police. We have these conversations at very early child's ages. I work with pre-K, and parents talk to me about having this child conversation now. It's a problem. So when we think about this being an issue, and an issue that we as a country don't address, we just kind of brush over it. There's so much that is built up over time because you have people that are learning to adapt with it. People deny that it even exists. And then you have this denial that things are still happening. It's not that it just happens. We understand that. I think we have a strong indication that we're not denying that, that our history, slavery, Jim Crow, sharecropping, we're not denying that history, but it's also the violence that still happens to this day. That's the bigger problem. So that's why automatically my mind went to this is just another case, another hashtag, another Black man that was taken down in the street. That's my initial thought. And then, but I'm getting further. So what I did want to talk about is, and I felt like I wanted to address this because I've said it a couple of times this year. And what I said was, I am deathly afraid. I'm not from, in the case that I grew up in the South, but my family's from the South, North Carolina, South Carolina, like not in Raleigh, not like in small, tiny towns. So my family being from there, I'm definitely afraid of going to Alabama and Mississippi. I have people from these states and I love them, but I've personally had a fear. Like some people might be afraid, like, oh, I don't want to go to Africa because of this, or I don't want to go to Russia because of this, and I don't want to go. Like that is my fear, particularly of those two states. Here's why. Because racism happens all over America, period. I don't care what state you live in. It happens in Hawaii, but that's a whole nother different experience for a different set of people, but we'll go on that later. But one of the things like that honestly, and I've talked to a couple of people like this, like I would like to go, but I feel like, what am I definitely afraid of? I'm definitely afraid of turning down the wrong street and being somewhere that I don't have no business because I took a wrong turn. I ain't followed GPS exactly where I should have. Now I'm in trouble. Now I'm a hashtag. Scared. And I go to Florida. I go to Georgia. It's something about me on the inside, like it's a fear because of the history and what still goes on. So, and I have no allegiance to any newspaper or news outlet, but I really enjoyed like a couple of articles and research and still documentation that the Washington Post has done. So as I was preparing for Dani After Dark, like I was looking at, because I wanted to give like information and facts, just not my personal opinion. But one of the things that probably the only one, but one that I wanted to go over today, just to review, is that was done by Dani Brown. She came out with this article today, 2021. So 3 years ago, she came out with this. 2 years ago, she came out with this, and she said that lynchings didn't stop. They just aren't recorded and passed around like postcards anymore. But they're still ongoing, and highly so in Mississippi. Alabama is not the capital of civil rights movement for no reason. So I'm saying those things to say that for this to happen in Montgomery, Alabama, all I can say is, I'm not saying this is related to the ancestors, I'm not saying this is related to anything else, but my heart leapt when I saw our folk, some black folk, respond to the hoo when the cap was raised and they saw that this man was in distress, and their response, by land, by sea, they responded. And particularly why this like touched my heart is because even without this happening, I've been in a situation to where it was only me and I think like one other black girl. And I mean, it was just, we were in a common area, but where we were and the situation that we were in, we were just like, I think we were in like the airport or something, but it was just, I don't know what other flights, but there was just not another person of color anywhere. There weren't attendants of color. There weren't people traveling of color. There was nobody of color. We was just by ourselves. And the trepidation in me said, hey, what's up, Round Points game? And the trepidation in me said, okay, should anything happen, I got you. Because it's sad, but again, we haven't dealt with our history that's still ongoing. Therefore, we can't move forward until we address that most of your racism, it's generational. It's not just from you, it's from your elders. It came from them, it came from them, it came from a group that you joined. It came from you not speaking up and saying something when you knew something was wrong. When you saw somebody was in trouble and you didn't act, not saying anything, still complicit. You gotta say something. And that's what I mean by right is right and wrong is wrong. If you see anyone that's in trouble, as a social worker, I'm a mandated reporter, but also as a social worker, my fight is for those that are being unjustly accused. My fight is for those that don't have the tools that they need, that they're in danger. My fight is for those that are disadvantaged. My fight is for those that don't have a voice. But I believe we're all mandated reporters. I know people say, they're concerned about, what should happen. People sue, or what's that? The Good Samaritan, they'll sue a Good Samaritan, or that's show up. If anyone of any color is in danger, you step in. As a human being, personally, I feel that is our responsibility. We're all mandated reporters and mandated responders. And that's all I got to say about that. I'm sorry. I had to. So, but you guys feel me? You understand where I'm coming from? Like, this is not something that's just phony. It's not just something that's made up. This is our current state. And we can't just of course, was it funny? It was hilarious. The memes. But truth of the matter is that we're all to respond to a call. If you see somebody is in danger, if you see a situation's escalating, just as you would if you saw, if you would saw, if it was a child, if it was an animal, same way. All right, that's it for today. That's all for that. That's all for that remark. Anyway, we're gonna move along. All right, so I also wanted to touch base on a tremendous interview that, it wasn't an interview. It was more so like a speech. And this weekend was the inductees of the Football Hall of Fame. And to be honest, I watched football. My team are the Baltimore Ravens. Love them. But I haven't had the time on my schedule to participate as a fan as I once did in my 20s, if that makes sense. Like, I'm a fan. I wear my jersey. My boo's got my jersey. He got me a new one. Like, I'm ready. Lamar'd out. But let's not even talk about how we did Lamar, but that's besides the point. So I was watching, he's like, oh, the Hall of Famers on. I'm like, oh, let me catch him. Let me see what's going on. Let me see who's being honored. So I get on there and I was really blown away by the interview. I'm sorry, not the interview, but the speech that was done by Darrelle Revis. And let me tell you why. Darrelle Revis, and I did like saw a couple of other videos. Like they say that he is one of the best cornerbacks to ever play in the league. And I really respect, don't clown me, but I really respect Ocho Cinco just as a person, just where he was mentally when he first joined the league, to be sleeping inside like the training room just to make things meet so that he can save his money. Like, I respect him. So he was talking about him on Shannon Sharp's show, and they were discussing about Darrelle Revis, and he was saying that Revis. He was saying that, you know, he was bad. He's like, he ain't dressed like, you know, he didn't have like, you know, his gear set up right. He's like had all the like this awkward way that he looked mad corny and stuff like that. He's like, yo, I'm just gonna talk to him and knock him off his game. You know, I got him. He said, Revis wasn't like that. He said he couldn't talk him out of his game because he was focused. He's like, he didn't even engage in conversation, so I couldn't like get at him because he was not responding. He said that Revis is one of the best that really, like, he said he couldn't even, I guess it was one particular play they were talking about, but he's like, there's nothing even I could say because he's just really just owned it. And I really appreciate how he got up there. And one of the things Revis did is he recapped, and he was like, look, what you want, you have to work for it. And he was like, I did mine through manifestation, but manifestation in like a real simple way. He said that I think it was his uncle or one of his relatives kind of took him up to an area and then kind of like talked about, you know, like, you know, what do you want from your future? He's like, and I guess he was like in a house with like big houses. And he's like, yo, you want to live in like this or not? And he said, yeah. He's like, well, you're going to have to work for it. You can't just get up there and, you know, get in the NFL and or, you know, just proceed with your game, but get lazy. If you want this, you can have this, but you got to work for it. And he talked about how different people were placed in his life to introduce him to things to kind of expand his thinking. But in the end, he chose to stay focused. And I just love that about how he just realized that exactly what he wanted. And because that's what we talk about here often, is that you have to identify it is what that you want. What is it that you want? And where is it that you desire to go? Because you can have that. But one of the biggest things, and sometimes the most difficult, is our focus. How focused can you stay committed to this if it doesn't work the first time? And sometimes things are going hard and then you've got life and other things pulling you this way. Can you stay persistent? Can you stay focused? Can you just keep on picking up and going for it? You can. And he was like he's saying, he's like, you know what? It was just a hard work. And that's the thing. Sometimes it's like, all right, we can stay focused, but you know, it's going to take some sweat. It's going to take some prioritizing. It's going to take some, all right, I've got to try something different. I got to read something. I've got to connect with somebody. I've got to interview somebody. I've got to make something connect to help me get from here to here. And it will happen. Connections will happen, but you have to choose to step out and make that action. And you got that, boss. You can step out and make that action, but you've got to stay committed to it. And I just love the way that he was just emphasizing that. It's like, you know, whatever happened, whatever came his way, he stayed consistent. You know, you've got to stay consistent. You've got to put one foot in front of the other. You have to be resilient. You got to stay focused. It's going to happen, but you've got to continue on. You can't do it just one time, 5 times. Nah, it's every day. It's in your habits. It's in your small things that you do. It's in the way that you prepare. It's in the way that you're taking steps. Every step is a learning process. That's what Dani Dark is like, you know, every step is a learning process. Some things are working, some things are not. All right, we shift, we move, we adjust, we change. But keep at it. Keep at it. You've got it. You've just got to keep taking the steps. So that was such a great story. I just loved hearing that from him, and I strongly suggest it. It is on YouTube. What else did I want to tell you about? There was, I think, one other thing I wanted to talk about, but I hope that you're enjoying it so far. Yeah. So, I also wanted to review today, Self-care, because we haven't done that in a little while. And the big thing about self-care is that it doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to be, something that takes a lot of energy out of you. It should be a chore. I would say make it something that you enjoy. Make it something that's like, oof, it's me time. You have to spice up things for you, just as you would maybe a relationship in any capacity. Spice things up for yourself. What is it that makes you feel good? What is it that, helps inspires you or makes you feel warm? Like for me, one of the things is just getting a body scrub. Switching things out. Give me a new body scrub. Want to smell good? Ooh, child. Like, don't play with me. Don't play with me. Doing a body scrub. Doing something that helps just revitalize you. That's important. But one quick thing, and this is great for work. This is great for interviews. This is great for meetings. This is great for high stress. This is great if you're just feeling bored. This is great for anything. And this is just to help you feel more relaxed. I do this all the time at work. I'm well known for doing this right there in the middle of the office, often with like power posing. But what you do is just deep breathing. That's it. And you think about it. When you breathe, because you need oxygen, when you breathe deep, you're expanding your lungs. But it's also, you're releasing, and I don't remember if it was serotonin or something else, but when you're taking some really large breaths, but I like to take them and then take it a little bit more and then hold it and then let it go slowly. Do that for 3 times. I want to tell you something. You'll always feel better. I have children do this all the time because we need to calm down and communicate your feelings. Okay, so we're going to do that really quick. All right, so first we're going to just get comfortable. Do a little body scan. How's your back feel? Mine's a little tight right there. All right, so we're going to take a deep breath now that you're comfortable. All right, first one, we're going to take a really deep breath. Inhale. And then we're going to take one more deep breath. And then we're going to exhale slowly, okay? All right, first, deep inhale. A little bit more. Ooh, that feels good. Oh, it feels nice after. We're going to do 3, so we're going to do 2 more. Deep inhale. A little bit more. A little bit faster. That feels good. All right, last one. Deep breath. A little bit more. Exhale. That's nice. I like that. All right. Well, I hope that you are also feeling relaxed. Are you? Does that help at all? I'm trying to tell you, do that. Like if you're about to go to a meeting, interview, anything high stress, you will definitely feel a little bit better. But also, if you can, just work on taking deeper breaths, okay, from your diaphragm. Dig deep and get some more oxygen in your lungs. It's good for you. It's healthy for you. And they're your lungs, okay? All right. Well, I hope you had a great, or you enjoyed Excel with Danielle presents Dani After Dark. I hope you had a great time. I hope you learned some information. My closing thought is I just want us we can do better. We can do better for ourselves and with ourselves. We can do better in protecting ourselves, protecting others, those that need our help and we know need our help. That little small voice, it's there. It's there. I believe it. I know it. When you see that, act on it. When you hear that little small voice telling you something's not right, listen. When you hear that small voice says, you can do better, listen. When you know that you're doing all right, you're doing all right. But either way, you just got to trust yourself. All right. Have a great, wonderful week. And I'll see you guys next time.